Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 249, our 5 steps to spring into summer.
In today's episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, Adam and I help you with your plan to spring into summer with 5 steps for a healthier you. It really doesn't matter if you've been sitting on the couch listening to the podcast, waiting for the perfect moment to start your health journey, or if you've been listening from your 100-kilometer bike ride before your massive whole food plant-based feast. Everyone has something to work on, and we want to help you reach your goals. The key to reaching your potential is setting many achievable goals along the way, and of course, creating an action plan to help you to get to where you want to be.
So take a moment right now to think about what your goal is for the next 3 to 6 months, and then listen carefully so you can start constructing your plan. If you haven't already subscribed to the Plant Trainers Podcast, please press pause now and go get it done. And if you're listening from your phone, leave us a rating and review so others can find this podcast and improve their quality of life just like you are. We want to thank everyone for their support with the Yummy Foods activity book for kids that we recently published and is now available on Amazon and Kindle. We know it's being used in homeschooling programs as community outreach materials, as well as a way to keep kids busy, learning, and having fun without electronics. We wanted to share a few testimonials. Happy customers have left. And this one's from Jessica.
I love learning about new foods. Still being a fairly new vegan family, I would love for them to learn even more. I was pleasantly surprised when we received the workbooks and every one of my children, ages 1, 3, 8, 10, 12, and 16 took interest. Wow. Well done, Shoshana and Adam. This book is interesting, fun, informative, and I feel good about the fact that my kids are not only wanting to play with it, but they are learning at the same time. Win-win.
This one's from Timothy.
The recipe activities are great. No stress. It's a way to bond with your kids in the kitchen and teach basic kitchen skills. I recommend it for homeschooling, church-based programs, and presentations to elementary school kids. The worksheets can also be used as fun activities to test basic food literacy knowledge in adult-based presentations.
To get yourself or a young one a copy, visit the link in our show notes, which is planttrainers.com/yummyfoods, or search Yummy Foods on your country's Amazon site. And now for a moment of gratitude.
Just wanted to give a shout out to people who listen, for people who want to make changes, reach out, get the help to make the changes, and then actually follow through. I have a lot of amazing clients, but 2 clients in particular that I'm thinking of right now, Sabrina and Mike. Just wanted to say kudos to you for following through and really making sure that you're doing the best that you can do for yourself.
I'm grateful for this time of year because it's race season, and I have a lot of athletes and students who are going to be attempting and completing their first 10K races and their first half marathons in the next few weeks. So it's very exciting. I'm grateful to be helping them and working with them, and I look forward to seeing how great they do in the end.
Hey Plantiful people, welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast. Today it is Adam and I here with you.
Just us.
Just us. No guest today.
We're a guest.
Would you like to be my guest?
I'll be your guest.
Be my guest. Be my guest. All right.
That's
there we
from
go.
a movie.
It
Okay,
is.
great.
Okay, who could name that movie?
I can.
Okay, then put it in an Instagram post and...
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay. All right. So basically what we're going to be talking about today, as we told you in the introduction, is how to spring into summer. It is spring now. Spring is half gone and we're starting to look forward to summer. Although just a couple of weeks ago, we were really wondering where spring was because it was still winter up here in the north.
Yeah, the blue skies, beautiful, sun's out, but it's pretty cold still.
Cold air, for sure. Cold air. But summer's on its way. Time for swimming, time for running, time for walking, time for being outside and enjoying the great outdoors. Although you can do that all year round, no matter where you live, really. But what we wanted to talk about is how to prepare for that. And if you are not achieving your health goals, your nutrition goals, your fitness goals, your movement goals, your mindset goals, how are you going to prepare for summer to make sure that you get that done in the summer? But first I wanted to kind of tell you some of the challenges that we've had and how we've kind of overcome it to get you going to overcome some of your challenges. Do you want to talk about what happened with you a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I guess so, because if people were following me on Strava and watching my runs, because I had been running a lot and training for a 50-mile race, and you've been seeing that I was running 5 days a week and long and short and slow and fast. And I had an issue about a month ago where I had to stop running. And it was because I had some back issues that were completely unrelated to the running itself.
You were being nice,
Yeah.
helping a friend move.
Yeah. I was helping someone move and lifting some things, and I just tweaked my back and made a wrong movement, and I wasn't able to move. And I decided that I needed to take some time off running. And so I took a couple of weeks off, and that's pretty tough. It's a long time to take off from a training plan when you're training for such a long distance race. And I had to make the decision as to, should I go back quicker than I should and start running, get back into the program, or should I take more time off and make sure that I'm healed before I start running again? And when I do start running again, do I jump back into the program exactly where I should have been, or do I ease into it slowly? And to me, it's all about making sure I could do things for the long haul. So it was worth it to take that time off so that I could heal myself and then get moving again at a slower pace and a shorter distance, so that long term I'm not injuring myself. And it's very frustrating to take that time off when you don't want to and you know you got to train, but I did. I took that time off. I felt better, and I got back into the running a little bit slower, a little bit shorter. And we'll see if I end up doing that 50 miler. I may not. I may have to adjust it. It's coming up and it's still another month from now, but we'll see how I'm feeling.
And for me, for those of you who have been listening from the beginning to the Plant Trainers podcast, you know that at the beginning I was into triathlon, I was running, I was swimming, I was crazy active. And then all of a sudden I kind of hit this wall. I bonked, and the bonk never went away. And I talked for a long time about only being able to do walking and yoga, and that being the exercise of choice, because my body couldn't really handle anything more than that. And really what I discovered in the last couple of months is that I did indeed have adrenal fatigue, or, a lot of the symptoms are much the same as chronic fatigue syndrome. And I think a lot of people out there are experiencing that too, when you can't wake up in the morning, you fall back asleep with your alarm going off, 18 times. Your kids get you out of bed at the very last moment. You have brain fog and you read over and over again, and you just can't comprehend anything that you're reading, and all you want to do is sleep all the time. And despite my healthy habits, despite my healthy nutrition, I couldn't get out of that funk. So I finally got diagnosed, and I created a really, really strong protocol for myself. And we're going to talk a little bit about, not too much, but a little bit about goal setting today. And I know what my end goal is, but I needed to create these small little goals for myself, and I needed to know exactly what steps I was going to take every day and show up to take them. And really, my naturopath has told me that although she has seen some people recover as quickly as I do, that she's crazy impressed, because it doesn't happen that often, and I've really stuck to it. So if anybody out there is experiencing chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue or something along those lines, reach out. I'm happy to tell you a little bit more about what I've done to overcome that. But basically, that has been my spring. That has been my end of winter, and my spring is really concentrating on making sure that I get rid of this for good, and that, again, like Adam, that I don't have to deal with it further down the line as well.
So we are real people, and these things do happen to us and everyone else. And just because we're on this side of the microphone doesn't make us invincible. And these are real life issues that are happening to us and could be happening to you. And just be patient with it and talk it through. Go for the treatments if you need them and figure it out. But the basis behind everything and the healing process and the reason that we've been healing so quickly really has a lot to do with the food that we put into our body. And I guess that's where we should get started right now as we continue with this show.
We're going to talk about 5 steps, but yes, absolutely. Let's start with the food. And what I'm going to tell you today is eat more colors. Eat more colors. You see eat more greens everywhere. You see eat a rainbow everywhere. You've heard us say eat a rainbow, but I'm actually going to switch that, and I'm going to say eat more colors, because There's vegetables like turnips, cauliflower, daikon, white asparagus, and even white potatoes that a lot of people aren't eating properly. They're just eating them fried. If you're going, oops, that's okay. There's always the rest of today and tomorrow. But there are a lot of vegetables that are colorless that have a really great variety of nutrients as well. So when it comes to eating vegetables, yes, of course you want the majority of them to be green. You want a ton of them to be filled with the rainbow, but don't forget about those more beige, white colors too. Just because they're beige doesn't mean they're nutrient depleted.
Now you mentioned fried, and we stopped using oil in our food and the food that we eat. And we just take all these vegetables, chop them up, put them on a cookie sheet and throw them in the oven. And we don't put oil on them. We don't put salt on them. And the more that you do that, the more you're going to taste the food for what they really are. And you'll realize that the flavors are amazing. And you don't need the oil to crisp it up and make it tastier. You don't need the salt. It just tastes good naturally.
And I'm going to talk about soups. And I've also stopped using oil when I make soup. And people say, well, how do you make sure it doesn't burn at the bottom? Just use a little bit of broth or just use a little bit of water and, fry up your vegetables sans oil. That means without in French. Fry up your vegetables without oil at the beginning and then create those soups, because even as we move into summer and here we are in spring, soups are really hearty. They fill you up. They're filled with nutrients. They're really, really healing and helpful, and they don't always have to be hot. There are hot soups that you could then eat cold that actually taste really good cold. And there's gazpachos as well, which are normally tomato-based kind of soups where you kind of blend everything up and leave it a little bit chunky and eat it Spanish style.
So for those of you that see our Instagram stories, you might have seen me post pictures or short videos of me having soup at work, and I never reheat the soup. I always eat it cold. No matter what the soup is, I just spoon it or down it straight out of a jar. And I don't care if it's hot or cold, because it really doesn't matter. It's still getting in the good food. It tastes great. And even if you think a soup is made to eat hot, you could really figure it out when you don't eat it hot, that it tastes just as good cold.
And if you're not sure what kind of soup to make, there's a plethora of ideas out there on the World Wide Web. We have some recipes at planttrainers.com. Or what I really do recommend is going out to the market and just making it a routine that every Saturday morning or Sunday morning, whenever it is that you have your farmer's market out there, make it routine to just go every single week and discover the vegetables that they have, and then go back and research and say, okay, I bought a daikon, don't know what to do with it. How do I use this? Or I bought a rutabaga, how do I make this into soup? And be inspired by what you already have instead of being overwhelmed by what's out there.
Now, I know we have recipes and stuff on our website for soups, and we have that minestrone soup that you make without the noodle. Is it really a big deal? Like, can't just someone put in a pot all the vegetables and just put some broth or water in there and ta-da, you have soup? Like, is there really skill to it?
No, there's no skill to it. You need a little bit of knife skills. Although with the minestrone soup, I buy diced canned tomatoes, so I don't have to cut that. I buy frozen green beans that are actually already cut. They're not even the long ones. They're like in thirds. So you don't have to cut that either. You can buy baby carrots if you want to, and you could just chop those up. You could buy celery already cut and just chop that up. So there's really, there's some knife skills involved. Not really skills, there's some knife chopping involved. And you should saute some of those vegetables first, like the carrots and the onion and the celery. But if you don't have time, it doesn't matter. It's just a touch more depth to the flavor. If you want to just throw it all in the Instant Pot or throw it all on the stove in a pot, then you can go ahead and do that. It's really one of the easiest things. And I always recommend making a recipe first one time, and then once you like it, double it the second time and freeze some away for the next week or 2 weeks later. The other thing is that you can always just take a handful of spinach and toss it into anything. You could toss it into your soups. You could toss it if you're buying Indian food, or take any kind of takeout that's warm. Put some spinach in there. It's just going to melt right in, and it's going to add more green vegetables to what you're eating.
You could also throw it in a smoothie, right?
You could throw it in a smoothie, absolutely. If you're not sure if you're going to like how that tastes, start with half a handful and then move up from there. And of course, there's salad. I love, love, love salad. And what was a game changer for me when I first started eating this way is I was used to eating my little Tupperware salads, with a sandwich on the side or with a chicken from the night before left over. And then when I stopped eating those other things, yes, at the beginning of the beginning, when I stopped eating those other things, I didn't increase the size of my salad, but I wasn't eating a lot of the other things that I was eating before. And I was finding myself hungry. And the game changer was taking the salad that I would have made for me and Adam together or for a whole family of 4. And that's what I started eating. And I would eat until I was satisfied, and then I wasn't hungry a half an hour later looking for everything else to eat.
We're taking a short break to let you know that this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast is sponsored by Legrand Power of Plants. They're a Quebec-based company that prepares fresh plants into ready-to-eat meals and condiments to promote and facilitate a healthy and balanced lifestyle. According to the National Institute of Health, the consensus is out, and they're saying to eat more fiber, avoid added sugars, eat less processed foods, and eat more plants. That's where Legrand comes in. They're making high-quality soups, chilies, and sauces using only natural and organic ingredients, making plant-based eating easy, nutritious, and delicious. When we first started eating plant-based in this family, it was just me. So having a company like Legrand is a great option for those of you busy working athletes who need high-quality, fast fuel, which will enable you to be out of the kitchen doing the things that matter the most. Check out the link in the show notes or visit legrandpowerofplants.com to find out where these products are sold near you, or ask your local health food store about carrying their soups, chilies, sauces, and pestos. And now, back to the show. And as we continue to eat this way, it's been amazing watching our kids start to eat more and more of these vegetables that we've had on the table that they used to not touch. And now they're putting a lot of different types of lettuce into their plate or into their wraps. They're adding black beans. They're adding sprouts. It's amazing watching the kids start to eat more and more veggies just because we had them on the table and we're introducing to them, and they used to never touch it.
They're really big on, celery and carrots and cucumber, which is something that we tend to eat with our hands. So what they've taken to is eating their salad with their hands too. And I'm kind of ready for them to start using a fork, but at the same time, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah.
If they're eating it, then let them use their hands.
Yeah.
Maybe at other people's houses, they can use forks.
Yeah, maybe.
And of course, the number one thing to make sure that you're eating vegetables is make sure that they're in your house and make sure that you have them cut up and ready to go, so that when you get home at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and you're starving, you don't not eat the carrot because it isn't peeled, because it isn't washed, because it's too much work.
I think that's very important, but I also think it's important that it's able to be seen in the fridge, because if you don't see it in the fridge, you're never going to grab it. So if you have it in a bowl that you can't see through, or a Tupperware you can't see through, or a glass jar that you can't see through, and it's at the back of the fridge covered by all kinds of other stuff, you're never going to use it because you're never going to know it's there. So having it front and center, making sure that you could see it, and of course, making sure that it's cut makes a lot of sense.
Adam speaks from experience there.
A lot of experience.
I'll often say, how come you didn't eat this? He's like, I couldn't see it.
I didn't know it was there.
I always tell everybody in the house, look with your hands, not just your eyes.
Yeah, well, make sure it's visible.
All right. Thanks for joining us on that little family tip over there. All right, let's get into number 2.
Which fits right in, because let's talk about decluttering, and you got to declutter your fridge sometimes so you could actually see what you have in it.
And that's the best meals, when we have the stuff and we kind of take everything out of the fridge, see what's left that doesn't have mold on it, which we don't normally
mold. It doesn't exist.
Doesn't
Our
really
fridge
exist
kind of empties very quickly.
Because we're in that routine of taking everything out every couple of days, seeing what we have and seeing how we can incorporate it into that meal, or just make all of that stuff into a meal on its own. But yes, decluttering, you want to lose that external weight. I know a lot of you want to lose the weight that's on your body, but there's a lot of external weight that can be lost too that makes you feel really good, because a lot of times we feel weighed down when you just walk around and there's stuff everywhere. Everywhere. We have a storage closet or 2 that we've been going through and trying to get rid of stuff.
Yeah, we have too many things in there that we don't use, we don't look at, we don't really need. And just emptying it out really helps relieve a lot of stress, and you don't even realize it. But getting rid of it, you feel so much better and lighter. And that really translates into everything else you do in life.
Go into your closet. If you have clothes from when you were a bigger size, get rid of them. Don't keep them around just in case you creep back up again. Make sure that you stay where you are and just get rid of those other clothes or clothes that you haven't worn since, the 90s or, 2002. I'm holding on to one or two pieces just because, you never know. My kids might start wearing them in a few years, but
please, just get rid of it.
But for the most part, things that I haven't worn in a year, unless it's like, that once a year when you have a wedding or you have the family event, like those things, yeah, fine, keep a few of them. But if you're not wearing it on a regular basis, you don't need it in your closet. It's just going to create more clutter and make you feel more weighed down.
If you want to hear more about decluttering, we did talk to Julie Caraccio on episode 115. We did talk to Jess Neary on episode 233 about this topic, and you can really get a lot out of it. I mean, it does make a difference. It makes you feel lighter. You can help people that are in need by giving away the items that you no longer need or donating them, or you could recycle those items. So there's a lot that you can do. And you can listen to those episodes for a little more on that.
You can sell them as well and then use that money for your gym membership or your new bicycle or, something like that. Something that's going to help improve your quality of life. But your kitchen is a really good place to go into. We have a lot of kitchen gadgets, a lot of plastic things that we've collected over time where it's not really necessary to hold on to. And also your food pantry, foods that you don't want to eat, that you've stuck to the back. Give it to a colleague who you know is in need. Give it to the police station or the fire station. They're always donating things to people in need. So there's great ways to get rid of that food, get rid of those gadgets that you don't really need anymore, but at the same time, you don't just want to throw in the garbage.
Yeah, one person's rags is another person's riches.
You got it. And what I want you to make sure that you do not do is don't say, I'm not going to go out on my walk today because the James and the Plant Trainer podcast told me to go down to my basement and start decluttering my basement. Don't use that as an excuse to take steps in your own life as well. You've got to plan it out and you've got to measure it out and make sure that you have time for both. And that gets us into our next step for springing into summer. It's about getting moving. It's about moving your body, not just exercise. In fact, exercise can be really, really intimidating to some people, but it's important to make sure that your body is moving all day long, especially when you're listening to the Plant Trainers podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about exercise and fitness a lot, and we've talked about movement a lot too. And if we don't get moving, then mentally we're going to be not benefiting. And it's really tough. Like those 2 weeks or that time where I wasn't able to run a month ago and I wasn't moving around as much as I usually do, I definitely felt more sluggish. I definitely did not feel mentally as clear as I did when I was moving around more. And so even going for a walk in the fresh air or getting on a treadmill to do a walk or doing some stairs, just moving around, lifting things, putting them down, a couple times a week really makes a big difference in your week. It makes a big difference in your day. It clears out your mind, and it doesn't have to be something huge. It doesn't have to be a big run that I'm talking about. It could be very small, just getting moving, getting into that habit of moving.
So here's where I want you to take action. I want you to think about what your level of movement is throughout the week. If you're a person who goes to the gym once a week, maybe think about how you could go there twice a week. If you go 4 times a week, do you want to be going 5 times a week or doing some other kind of exercise on a 5th day, and how can you make that happen? So think about that. Now, if you're a person who goes to the gym, almost every day and you're good and you don't need to add more gym into your day, think about your movement throughout the rest of the day. Are you waking up in the morning, driving to work, sitting at your desk all day long, going to the gym, then going home and taking care of things at home? And if you're really not moving a lot during the day, how can you be moving? Can you be taking the stairs? Can you be parking further away? Can you
I do that every time I go anywhere. I park. When I go to the grocery store, I park at the way far away from the entrance. When I go drive at work and I park, I'm the first car in the parking lot, and I always park at the end.
That's because you don't want people hitting your green Plantmobile.
That's true. But don't tell anybody that. I do it because I get to walk extra. Even though I do all this running, it just gives me extra time to move.
Yeah, so you've got to be moving throughout the day as well. Dr. Greger talks about how people who go to the gym once a day or, a couple of times a week, their mortality rates are not necessarily better than those who are moving all day long but who are not moving in as much intensity. So it's not necessarily about intensity, it's about how you could get your body moving all day long. For those of you who are not in the gym and not moving all day long, start really small. Start really small, like park 5 spots away than where you normally could. Or just think about one way to maybe walk around the office once a day. Set your alarm to ding once a day so that you can know to walk around the office. We're not asking you to start running marathons or trail running or, miles and miles. It's really about training yourself to just move.
Move more, period.
All right, so let's talk about socializing, because that's going to be a little bit controversial, because for someone who's an extrovert, socializing's awesome. It's great. It's something that you want to get out there and do. But for someone who's more of an introvert, socializing might not actually help their overall health. It might not actually help them to feel better, because it might make them a little bit too nervous or too uncomfortable in those different kinds of situations. But what you really need to do is, when you are around other people, you need to make sure that they are good influences, that they people who make you feel happy and people who make you want to be your very best.
You want to stick around people that are going to be positive, that are going to be able to lead you in the direction that you want to be going. Nobody wants to be hanging out with negative people. Nobody does. But there are people in our lives that aren't as positive as we would like them to be. And sometimes we need to step back and we need to connect with the people that are positive influences on us. So just be aware of the people that you hang out with and try to put yourself in a position of hanging out with people that are going to have a positive influence on your life.
If you want to take some action in this area right now, you can right now stop what you're doing. You could look up vegan potlucks, right? And you could find a vegan meetup group in your area. You can, if you love doing art, maybe you can join an art class. If the art makes you happy, then the people around you might make you happy too. And really work on decluttering those negative people from your life. Distance yourself. Just because you have to see them 4 times a year doesn't mean that you need to be texting with them all the time and talking to them all the time. Really work on making sure that the people who are around you are quality people and make you better. And part of the reason why we feel so honored and so happy and so grateful all the time is because of so many of you who reach out to us on social media, at Plant Trainers on Instagram, the Plant Trainers page on Facebook. There's so many different people who are emailing us as well. And you're part of our tribe. Even if you haven't reached out to us, just being here with you in this way that we are makes us feel really happy.
And I think it's important to do that for yourself and find people for you to connect with. And we definitely appreciate all the contact and engagement that we've had with people listening to this show. And it does give us some benefit just as much as it probably gives you. So thank you for that. And that's part of committing to yourself and making it a point for you to be around the people that are going to make a big difference in your life. So how else can we commit to ourselves? Which is our next point, right?
Right. Our last point for today is to commit to yourself. So really what you first need to do is you need to decide, what is it that you need more of in your life? Do you need more health? Do you need more socialization? Do you need more happiness? Do you need more movement? And really think about what that end goal is. But end goals are not just enough. You need small, mini little goals along the way. So if your end goal is to feel happier all the time, how are you going to feel happier? Is it going to be by moving more throughout the day, by meeting more people who make you feel happy? Then how do we break that down? So if you want to learn more about nutrition, maybe it means taking a course, right? Maybe it means reading more books. So look at those small goals so that you could create a plan to reach that good, big, ultimate goal. Getting a coach might be good too. So whether you want to expand your business, whether you want to get your fitness going, whether you want to get more nutrition, you might reach out to a coach and you might ask them to help you create this plan and give you the tools that you need to reach there. Also, telling other people about it.
Yeah, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, that you want to do, I think you need to find accountability. And one way to do that is to announce it to the world. Even if you don't think anybody's listening and you want to send out a tweet saying that you're going to do this, or you want to post on Instagram that you're going to do that, somebody's going to see it. And just by you putting it out there means that you're throwing it out into the universe and you're providing yourself with some accountability. Now, obviously, you could tell somebody specific that you're going to do something.
Or even better, somebody with specific goals like yours.
Right. They can become an accountability partner and you could share that goal with them. But just by releasing it out there, it starts those wheels. It gets them in motion. And you're going to start to find that you're going to be doing things that's going to lead you to achieving that goal that you've set up and following that plan that you've put together.
And it's going to be an investment. That investment might be time, that investment might be money, that investment might be effort, or a combination of everything, but nothing comes easy.
You look at all these people online and you think that they're the overnight success, or they make it appear that way, but there's so many layers behind what happened and how people got to where they got to. If anybody looked at me to see that I'm running these crazy distances and times, I didn't start that way. And this didn't just start today. It started years and years ago, and there's a foundation that needs to be built and developed for you to be able to get to where you want to be. So just remember that everybody was a beginner once. Everyone that's an expert now started off being a beginner. That was said by someone too, or something like that.
Or you.
Or me, but no, I didn't make that up. But everyone was a beginner. There was always a starting point, and everybody's starting point might be different, but just because somebody's that high level pro right now, it doesn't mean they started that way. So wherever you want to get to, wherever you want to go, you can get there. You just got to start by taking that first step.
And the reason why we started off the show by telling you some of the challenges that we've had in the last little while is because just because everything is moving uphill and you've got it all down and you know everything that you want to know right now about nutrition, fitness, what is it, things still come up, right? We're all human. Things still come up. So we all put our pants on one leg at a time. Somebody said that as well.
Somebody said that.
But at the end of the day, we want you to know that you're worth it. So whatever it is that you're thinking about, just thinking isn't going to get you there. It's the beginning part. Then write it down. Then make your goal. Then figure out what your mini goals are. Then figure out what your action plan is, because you're worth it. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, you deserve to have that.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other podcast listening platforms. We appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it ensures other people will find us too. Thanks to our patrons. To become a patron, visit www.patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference. Connect and follow us on Instagram and Twitter @PlantTrainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at www.planttrainers.com for awesome plant-based recipes and a list of our services. Email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so we can answer them on our upcoming Facebook Lives. We hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time, and have a healthy day.